Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I edit my pictures and curate my Instagram feed. This has been a topic that I've had so many questions on over the course of a few years. I thought that I would show you how I curate for every season, what type of mood I'm in, and it honestly just varies upon like what I'm inspired by at the moment, and it's not always the same. I'm never consistent. I'm not trying to maintain a perfect feed all the time, but this is just like generally how I edit and curate my feed. Okay, so let's start at step one, how I take my photos. I normally shoot on my iPhone or on a Canon G7X Mark III. I used to work with a photographer in New York for a majority of my pictures, or my friends would take my photos, but ever since COVID hit, I've been taking everything on self-timer, so I feel like I've really mastered how to take photos on self-timer. If you guys need any tips on that, I've linked a video below of how I shoot my photos by myself on self-timer, and there are a lot of good little tricks and tips in there that will hopefully be helpful to you guys. How I take my photos, I basically just set up a tripod wherever I scout a good location. I'll pull my car over in a really pretty field during sunset. These photos right here I actually took on self-timer. I just put the tripod on my car and it was super easy. I downloaded the app, sync my phone to my camera, and then I can actually see the viewfinder screen of what my camera sees on my phone. So I can just click the button from my phone and then it'll take the picture on my camera. That makes things really easy. Another way that I take photos on self-timer is I use my iPhone, and I have a little Bluetooth remote control that I use, and it just connects. You turn it on. I do that a lot. I'll set up my iPhone on a tripod. That's a really easy way to take photos on self-timer as well. So the time of day I normally take photos is around 5 to 7 p.m. because the lighting is really good. It's normally golden light. I think it does really well in photos. It just translates really well on camera. Here's an example of a photo that I took around, I think, 5:30. Really golden and beautiful out. I decided, because it was really dark out, to use my Canon, use a flash instead of using my iPhone, which would have been way less quality of a photo. And I wore a light color dress because it was darker out, and I honestly think that the contrast of wearing a light colored outfit against a dark backdrop is really stunning, and I thought that that would stand out more than just wearing like jeans and a black tee or something. So I decided to wear this white For Love and Lemons dress, and this one I'm actually going to edit and show you guys how I edit my photos. I use maybe 2 or 3 apps depending upon the photo and how much editing it really needs. This photo doesn't need too much editing, and I try not to over edit my photos. I just adjust the colors, kind of adjust my outfit, maybe smooth a few things, as we all do, and I'm not guilty of it at all. I do it every once in a while where it's necessary. So I just brought this photo into Facetune, and I'm gonna show you guys how I like edit everything. I normally start with reshape, adjust anything that you really need to adjust. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to push down the sleeve a little bit and make a little bit more room on my neck, because I don't want it to cover my neck too much. And it also makes my neck appear a little bit longer, which I'm totally here for. I don't even care. I'm not being shy about it. I'm editing that a little bit. I honestly like to adjust my hair. If my hair is looking flat, I'll make that look a little bit bigger. As you can see, that's what we've done so far. I can probably bring that back down a little bit. Might make this sleeve a little bit bigger. I try not to edit and push things in so that it changes my body shape really. It's more so just to make the outfit look better with the smooth tool, and I'll smooth out like any sort of like blemishes or scars that I might have. I have like a blemish on my back, like that's embarrassing. I'm gonna smooth that down. I don't really need to smooth anything on my face. I'll smooth like little things on my legs here and there. I have like cellulite there. I'm not really gonna smooth that, but you can if you want. Sometimes I'll go in with the detail tool. I will like detail some shine on my earrings. I'll also take the tones tool and add some shine to the earrings. I'll just take the white and make it a little bit more shiny. Sometimes I'll add more like highlighter on my cheek if it's necessary, but I don't know if this photo it'll look good. I always kind of test it out. Yeah, that looks good. Sometimes I add more highlight in the hair, highlight on my shoulder. And another thing that really helps contour your body a little bit is if you grab the darkest part of your photo and then you can just like contour whatever part you want to add more definition. I like to do it on my legs a lot just because I feel like it looks really pretty, and I'll add some contour on my face a little bit to enhance my makeup. And sometimes I will use a filter, darken certain parts. You can like darken or lighten the background. Sometimes I'll darken the background a little bit, and you can go in and adjust this by filling it with the whole photo, and then you can go in through wipe and wipe any part that you don't want any sort of dark filter over. So if you really want to highlight like your dress or yourself or whatever, you can do this, but then go back and pick how dark you want the background to be. Sometimes I'll do this on my skin if my skin is really overexposed, but it depends on the photo. I kind of want this to be really dark and moody. And another thing that you can do to make your photos look darker is you can use the blacken tool, and you can fill your whole photo with this and just kind of like bring it up or bring it down. So I'm probably gonna blacken to about 5 so that it's just a little bit more even of a contrast, and then I'm gonna export it. The next app that I use to edit is Lightroom. I'll go into Lightroom and I'll just upload it here. So upload it from camera roll, and then I'll just take this photo and I'll start editing it. I normally go in with the light first, so I'll bring the exposure up a tiny bit, the contrast up. I do it differently for every photo. I just kind of like adapt to whatever the photo's lighting is. Sometimes I'll bring the shadows up so that you can see the plants a little bit more. And then that's all I'll do for the light on this photo. And then I will adjust the colors of the background. I'm probably going to get rid of the green just to make it a little bit more fall. Bring the saturation of the orange up, bring the luminance down of the orange so that I don't look too stark. I honestly don't like to make my skin look too dark on photos because it's just not natural. Like, I do have an olive skin tone, but unless my skin is really overexposed, I don't like to darken my skin at all. And then the reds, I will always bring down the luminance on those too, and that will take the color from your lips and any sort of reds in the background. And I don't really love red in photos, so I'll take the hue and bring it up to like a 6, so it brings it to more of the yellowy side of red versus the really pink side of red. And for yellow, the hue down towards the more red side of yellow versus the green side of yellow. I'll bring up the luminance on yellow just a tiny bit. Blue will pick up in my dress, so I can either make it more saturated or less saturated. I like to keep a little bit of blue in photos because I think it adds a really nice base or like highlight color. Maybe bring up the luminance a tiny bit so that my dress just pops even more. I'll sharpen it a little bit, maybe add some green just to give it a little bit of a vintage vibe, and then I'll export it. Another photo editing app that I will use is Snapseed, and let me just wait like 10 hours till Snapseed opens because it takes so long.
2 hours later.
There, it opened. Okay, great. I don't use Snapseed for every photo, but if I do want to brighten the background of a dark photo like this, I will use Snapseed, and I go in with the selective tool and I'll select the darkest part of the photo, and you can use 2 fingers to select the darkest parts and really brighten those up. You can add as much contrast as you want. That's the before and after. You can desaturate as much as you want. You could literally take out all the color if you want. It's turning my hair orange, so I'm not going to saturate it. You can add structure or take away structure. You can brighten the white of my dress if I really want. This is just super exaggerated so you guys can see what it does, but I really love this feature because I feel like it just makes things look way more seamless. I can brighten my skin tone if I want, probably brighten it a tiny bit, and that looks pretty good. I can also tune the image if I want. Sometimes I'll use ambiance is pretty good. That's if I want like a really exaggerated photo with a really intense background. For this, I feel like I definitely don't need that much ambiance because I want to bring the shadows down just a little bit. Looks pretty good. That's before and that's after. I will also use the Tezza app. Tezza has really good filters. I actually edit in here a lot. Like this photo in here, you can see the before and after. Tons of filters to choose from. I don't really filter that often, but when I do, I definitely use the Tezza app. When it comes to planning my feed on my Instagram right now, everything is pretty dark and moody and fall tones. The reason why it's like that is not on purpose. It's honestly because I shot one photo that had a certain color scheme and I just decided to stick with that color scheme for about 12 to 15 photos. I honestly didn't choose this color scheme. It kind of just happened like this because I started with one green photo and I just decided to incorporate green for about 12 to 15 photos because I wanted to have a cohesive feed. I definitely just try to stick to like 3 colors at a time. So my color scheme right now is probably blue, green, and nude. Neutral, black, and white do not count, or gray. Those are always going to be incorporated, but if I'm gonna add colors, I try to add like 3 maximum at a time or else my feed will look like a rainbow. This is my summer feed. It's a lot brighter, a lot more colorful. This was at the beginning of quarantine when I was just in my apartment, so I didn't have any access to nature. So I just had all neutral tones and then some pops of golds and yellows and blues. As long as your colors match, I feel like you don't really need to overthink it too much. I'll use the preview app because it's free. I used to use Unum. They started upcharging so much, so I just deleted it when there's other apps for free. So I use the preview app and then you can just drag and drop photos of your choice into the feed or the grid. And normally when I'm arranging my feed, I just kind of pick the next 3 photos. I don't plan my feed for more than like 2 or 3 days or else I go crazy because it changes. I have new ideas that pop up every day that I want to just like jump on and like take new photos. I have new inspiration like every day for a new photo. So to plan my feed 4 days ahead just wouldn't work because it would never be that 4 days from now because my opinion and like my inspiration and everything will change within 4 days. So I kind of just stick to like what I'm gonna post the next day or 2 days ahead just so that I can have that peace of mind, if you know what I mean. I have a lot of filler photos in here right now of like possible things that I wanted to post that I just never posted. But I just kind of like rearrange everything for how I would post on my feed. And I try to post a filler photo like every 5 or 6 photos just to keep my feed looking good. If I don't have a filler photo that I love, that's just like a dumb filler photo just for the sake of posting a filler photo to make my feed look good, I won't do it. But if I actually have a filler photo that I like, I'll post it. A lot of you guys have really good questions about this. How do you get the darker look? So like I explained in Facetune before, you can go in and you can add a filter. You can also take a photo to begin with that is darker. So for example, if I'm gonna take a photo, drag down the exposure with the little sun or whatever, so like you can drag everything down and lighten and darken, and if you want to make a really dark photo you can just drag it all the way down. How many weeks out do you plan? I honestly plan 2 days ahead, probably max, because it'll change. Do you ever regret posting a pic and then remove it later? All the time. Like I love the archive button, but I honestly think that it ruins you in the algorithm, so I try not to do it. Sometimes I post the wrong edit and I'm like, oh shit, like I can't delete it and it sucks and I just have to live with it. But do I always use the same edit? No, I never use the same edit, to be honest. I just kind of edit based off of what the picture needs. Before I post it, I upload it into the preview app so that I can actually see what it looks like. And if it's too bright next to the other photos, I'll go back and edit the colors to make it match my feed. How do you choose the first pic in a carousel post? I honestly will ask my friends which pic I should post first because I feel like they always know best. And if they're not available or like don't answer me or something, then I'll kind of just wing it and post whatever I think is best. I've been doing this long enough where I have an intuition of like what photo is, I guess, the best. But sometimes people like different ones. They're always like, the third photo is the best. And I'm like, oops, sorry. Like I wish I posted that one first instead. How do you create an aesthetic from the beginning? So basically it's just trial and error, like figuring out what works for you, what type of photos you like taking. You can stay there. I feel like if you're a creative, you kind of have a vision for what you like, what you don't like, and you just take photos based off of what you like. And I guess that's what your aesthetic is. There's other aesthetics that I love. Like, I love a minimal aesthetic, but that's just not my aesthetic. How do you make yourself feel confident while taking pics? Honestly, if I can see myself in the camera, I feel like that's good enough. And I love taking mirror selfies for that reason, just because it's super easy. It makes you feel good and confident. You get your angles. Practice. I mean, it took me forever to get comfortable in front of the camera. Just to practice all the time that you can, and practice in front of the mirror for sure. How do you find the right theme for your feed? Honestly, it's just about like where I am in the moment. I can't force a theme. It's just honestly about where I'm at, the weather, you know. It's like if it's raining all week, that's gonna be the theme. More inside, more cozy, more like indoor shots, that type of thing. Or if I'm at the beach, then I'm gonna be having a beach aesthetic for the week. So it's honestly just about like your environment, I think. How did you find an aesthetic that you're happy with / can commit to as far as Instagram and your personal brand goes? So I think it's just like over the years I've found what I like, and just that's just kind of become my style. Everyone creates differently, so trying to mimic someone else's aesthetic, you're just gonna drive yourself crazy, because that's just not you. So do what feels right for you, and then your aesthetic will manifest itself. I will definitely do another video about how to pose. I feel like that's such a separate subject, but all I can say is my #1 tip is just practice in the mirror, and then like take your camera out, put it on a tripod. Definitely just practice in front of the camera when you're by yourself. Figure out what poses will like work best for your body type, like your height. I think I'm gonna end the video here. I definitely want to do more videos about this subject in the future, more in depth about like how to pose, more Instagram tips and tricks and things that I've learned over the course of the last 4 years. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any more questions in the comments below. I hope you liked this video. To sign off here and say goodbye, I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want. No harsh feelings if you don't want to subscribe, totally get it, but I will see you guys in the next video, and I love you, and I hope you guys have the best day ever. Bye.